More troubling signs in the U.S. housing market as sellers drop their list price at a record rate and home buyers cancel their purchase and sales contracts at a record rate. Now, this is all coupled with the fact that we hit an all-time high median sales price in the month of June, and the average list to price ratio, list to final close price, sits at about 99%, meaning that most properties that go into contract for right around what they're listed for. So there's some positive data, there's some negative data. What does this all mean? Well, I think this means that we have hit the top and things are starting to change in the housing market. We're starting to slowly shift into more of a balanced, and if it continues in this direction, more of a buyer's market. So I think if you are looking to sell your property in the near future, you should put it on the market now because things are not trending in the right direction for you as a seller. And if you're a home buyer, things are only going to get better for you in the upcoming months. Now, of course, the Federal Reserve could cut their interest rates and that could change the whole scenario and cause things to shoot back up again. But we'll just have to take a look at that as it comes. And as of right now, the way things are trending, it's trending in the buyer's favor. So we're going to get into all of these articles here. But before we do, my name is Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor here in the state of Vermont with Jerry Riley Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs, all of my contact information is in the description and I would be happy to help you. So let's get right into it here. This first article out of Redfin. Cold feet. Buyers backed out of deals at a record high rate in June as home prices hit an all-time high. Now, this is the conflicting data that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, right? There's this graph here that talks about the home purchases falling through. I actually don't think this is that big of a deal. It hit an all-time high for the month of June. You can see the June line is highlighted in this graph. It's only up 0.2% from last year. So it's not like that many more purchasers fell out of contract in June than this time last year. Sure, it's slightly up, but it's not all that high. And the reason why this isn't that concerning is because if buyers are under contract at properties, sure, maybe they're being more picky with their building inspections. Maybe sellers are still stubborn and don't want to budge for concessions or repairs. But at the end of the day, these are still home buyers who are out there looking to purchase property and are active in the market. So I don't think this is that concerning at all. But what I do think is concerning is this right here. Nearly 1 in 5 sellers dropped their asking price as homes sat on the market, the highest June rate on record, which that is very significant. We see 19.8% of sellers on the market cut their list price in the month of June. And the reason why this is so concerning is because June should be one of the lowest months here in the season, right? June is the busy month. The spring season, the spring selling season is when homes sell, when the most buyers come out to purchase properties. And so the fact that we're up, significantly up from past years, up from May, in my opinion, that's pretty concerning. Now, if we take a look at this historical chart, we'll see that in 2020, May to June was pretty flat. In 2021, there were actually more sellers who cut their list price in June than there were May. 2022, there were significantly more sellers in June than May. But the fact that it's still rising in June and that it's risen year over year is concerning to me. Now, this may be a result, the reason why there's more sellers who cut their price in June as opposed to May could be a result of sellers sitting on the market through the majority of the spring period, the spring buying season and selling season. The fact that nobody has come to purchase their property, now they're like, oh, crap, I got to sell my home. I'm going to cut my list price. That's probably what's happening here. And overall, again, it's a good sign for buyers. It's not the best for sellers. I think we are at the top. Now, I don't think we're going to see a housing market crash. We're in a much more similar housing market to the 1980s where supply was low and demand dropped even further. And in that housing market, we saw home prices remain flat year over year and then slowly start to tick up. In 2008, we had a ton of sellers and not that many buyers as home buyers were treated when loan products tightened up. Now, that's a completely different scenario. There was an oversupply on the market leading up to 2008. We have an undersupply right now, and now we're seeing demand retreat even further to not even be able to sustain the low supply that we have on the market. Now, this is all coupled with the video I did the other day talking about how existing home sales slipped 5.4% in June, both month over month and year over year. And I think that's very concerning. Again, June is supposed to be one of the busiest months in the housing market. So the fact that it's falling compared to May, that less homes are going under contract in June compared to May, and less homes are going under contract year over year is not a good sign for the overall housing market. Now, we have median sales price here, of course, increasing. I have the green highlighted aspects in as things that are positive for sellers, positive for home prices across the country. We see median sales price up 4% year over year. The month over month change was 0.9%. So, median sales price is strong. Now, the homes for sale are increasing. We see homes on the market are up almost 13% nationally. So there's more inventory. There's less homes going under contract. That is not a good combination for home sellers out there and in general sales prices. So we could see the median sales price start to come down a little bit. Again, I don't think we have enough inventory to cause a housing market crash, but we could see it drop by 1 or 2%. And now I do think the median sales price will probably come down when we take a look. We're not going to look at it in this video, but if you look at what the median sales price does on a yearly basis, we usually see it start to peak maybe in June to August, somewhere in there. And then median sales price starts to decline a little bit as there's less sellers on the market. There's less buyers out there who want to purchase property in the winter, who want to move in the winter. And so the median sales price naturally dips coming out of the summer and the spring season. Now, we could see that happen, and we likely will see that happen as we move into the end of 2024 here. And it's really going to take about 6 months to a year before we see a meaningful change in the housing market, before things shift from a seller's market to a more balanced market and eventually a buyer's market, right? From going from a seller's market where we are today to a balanced market where we need to get before we get to a buyer's market where home prices drop. I think the seller's market to a balanced market is about 6 months to a year away, right? The housing market moves very slowly. It takes 30 to 60 to 90 days to close on a property. And so this is not a fast moving machine like the stock market. It's going to take some time, but we are trending in that direction. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if the Federal Reserve decides to cut rates drastically or purchase mortgage-backed securities to lower the mortgage rate across the country, that could drastically change the housing market, as well as all of a sudden these buyers who were sidelined because they can't afford these high prices can now jump back into the housing market because rates have dropped, and now all of a sudden they can afford their monthly payment. So this is a very sensitive time in the housing market that we need to watch very carefully. We need to look at the Federal Reserve, understand what they're doing so we can best make the home buying and decisions for ourselves. Now, I am still looking to purchase a property by the end of the year. Again, the more that these numbers are red, the more red flags we see in the housing market, the higher inventory gets, and the less the lower this sales number gets, the better things are for buyers in the housing market. And that's something that I want to take part of. I want to be in the market when it's a good time to be a purchaser. I am not looking to sell a property anytime soon. Now, I mentioned this a few times, but if you are looking to sell a property, now is probably a great time. And if you're looking to buy a property, now's a great time to get a good deal because there are motivated sellers out there. Now, that's not to say that this is true for, every market or every property, that just because listings are up and sales are down doesn't mean you're going to be able to get a property for well under list price, at least not right now. Right? There's still a lot of properties that are selling for well over list price. Sure, there are more that have price cuts. There are more properties that are selling for under list price, but a good portion of them are selling for over list price. I know here in Vermont, about 30% of all properties are selling for higher than their list price. It might even be more than 30%. And if we take a look at some of these other cities, we see in San Jose, 72% of all homes sold above their final list price, the highest share among metros that Redfin analyzed. Now, Newark in New Jersey sold for about 72%, or 72% of properties on the market sold for over list price as well. Oakland, 63%. The shares were lowest in Palm Beach, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. Florida, all three of those cities are in Florida. When we take a look at the active listings, we see active listings rose most in Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando. Again, a little bit different metrics. Fort Lauderdale was on there twice, but Florida in general has a glut of inventory right now, which really is shifting things quickly in that market. And you can see here, just by the variation between regions, San Jose is behaving much more different. It's a much different market in San Jose than it is in Palm Beach, where 72% of homes are selling for over list price in San Jose. 7% in Palm Beach are selling for over list price. Those are drastically different markets, and it's really important to understand what market you're in, what's going on in your individual market, and make your decision based on that data. I know here in Vermont, generally speaking, we don't experience major crashes like places like Florida do, or places like Texas, New York. There's not this huge variation in list price. Home prices tend to go up and then they remain flat for a little bit before they go up again. We don't see a major crash here in Vermont. So if you're looking in Vermont compared to Palm Beach, compared to San Jose, those are going to be three different metrics, and you really need to understand your market to make the best decision for your home purchase and sale need. Now, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.